Kartik, Chris and I are here for the Florida squeeze. Let's look real quickly at the swing from 2020 to 2024 in the presidential election in Florida and ask the question, where in Florida can Democrats still be competitive? And 13-point spread statewide, which is alarming, horrific, but actually is not that much worse than some of the swing states, so-called swing states. So that's how bad 2024 was for Democrats around the country. There was a swing of 19 points in Miami-Dade County, which now makes it the most Trump and Republican friendly large urban county in the United States. We went from Biden plus 7, kind of 7.5, to Trump plus 11.5. So that was a 19-point swing. And that's a county where 1.1 million votes were cast for president. Unbelievably alarming, and a swing that is far greater than the national swing. You know where else there was a greater swing than the national swing? What other two Florida counties had the largest swings? Broward County, at least among large urban counties. Broward County, which was, as late as 2012, the most Democratic county, urban county in the southeastern United States. This time, Harris was held under 58% in Broward. She still won the county by 17 points, but a 13-point swing from 2020. Palm Beach County, Harris barely held. This is a county where John Kerry got over 60% of the votes in 2004 in a similar Democratic national disaster to what we saw on Tuesday. This time she held the county by less than a point. That was a 12-point swing. Hillsborough County, which Joe Biden won by 7 points. That's Tampa. Donald Trump won by 3. So, and Orange County, which is Orlando. Harris won it by 14 points. Biden had won it by 24 points. So that's a 10-point swing. So let's look at the votes in these counties. How many raw votes there are. 1.1 million raw votes in Miami-Dade. Close to 900,000 raw votes in Broward. About 750,000 raw votes in Palm Beach. About 675,000 raw votes in Hillsborough, and a little over 600,000 in Orange County. And you just heard me say that every single one of those counties swung over 10 points. If you add that up, that's somewhere near 3.5 million votes. 3.5 million votes swung 10 points. Which is why Donald Trump went from losing the national popular vote by 5 points to winning it by, or lost it by 4.5 points to probably winning it by 3.5, 4 points, something like that. That swing you see in these large urban areas in Florida. This is why we still have to look at Florida. Democrats like to cope and say, well, Florida's lost. Don't look at Florida. Don't look at election results there. But Florida has more indicators and has more of a population that's a microcosm of the U.S., particularly in its urban areas, than any other state, in my opinion still. Maybe I'm biased. Let's look through some of the other swings. Lee County in Fort Myers, which you've heard me talk about a lot during this cycle. A 28-point swing. A 28-point win for Trump. That was close to a 10-point swing also. Biden only lost it by 18. He had cut margins there. Some other really alarming swings. The most alarming one, which also told us that this hype we experienced the last week about the Madison Square Garden event was just that, was hype. Osceola County, 15-point swing. It was Biden plus 14 in 2020. It was Trump plus 1. And by the way, it had been Clinton plus like 27. So there was already a swing from 16 to 20 to 24. If you haven't listened to our earlier videos or podcasts, Osceola County is the one county in the United States, in the continental United States, contiguous 48 states, with a plurality of Puerto Rican voters. So that's a really good indication that none of that stuff from the MSG rally landed. In fact, Puerto Ricans were more than happy to vote for Donald Trump, to vote their what they perceived as their pocketbook. Some other really kind of disturbing swings in the state of Florida were in counties like Flagler County, which is one of the exurban counties where Palm Coast is, that we talked about in the it's the exurb stupid videos video series. Volusia County, Daytona area, DeLand, Deltona, and Sarasota County, where not only Sarasota is there, but also the very exurban planned community of Northport. And those counties all swung at least 7.5 points from Biden to Harris. St. Lucie County, which we did a video on being the bellwether county in Florida, went from being basically a 2-point county last time, similar to the statewide average, to being a 9-point county, similar to the statewide average. Actually, maybe St. Lucie now is more Democratic than the rest of the state. But Trump won it by 9 points, which is less than a statewide average. Even the college towns of Tallahassee and Gainesville, which were the two best places in the state for Democrats. Tallahassee is obviously the state capital, but is also more prominently the home of Florida State University and Florida A&M University. And Alachua County is Gainesville. That's the home of the University of Florida. Even those two counties swung. Leon's case swung, I'm doing the math here, about 6 points from Biden plus 28 to Harris plus 22. In Alachua's case, about 5.5, 6 points from Biden plus 27 to Harris plus 21. So even the college towns, we saw this sort of swing. Really just a dire wipeout. And again, you can't chalk this up to Florida being different or Florida being more Republican, because this mirrors national trends. Even in places where we feel like the Republicans have maxed out their vote. You've heard me talk about the very wealthy Naples area, Collier County, where Trump won by 25 points, but he had won by more points in 2016. He'd beaten Hillary Clinton there by 28 points. This time he won Collier by 33 points. So again, just an absolute wipeout up and down the state, up and down the country. And where do Democrats go from here? I think the places you still have to try and rebuild, the places you can possibly still win in, are probably in the Orlando area. Although if the Puerto Rican vote doesn't turn around, that's going to be a problem. But I still think places like Orange and Seminole have a better mix of people demographically, and you have the University of Central Florida there also. When you take out the this Puerto Rican issue, and maybe you can swing Puerto Ricans back at some point, but right now it doesn't look very promising. So even when I said the swing in Orange County was about 10 points from Biden plus 24 to Harris plus 14, a good chunk of that will be Puerto Ricans. And in fact, Orange had been really good for Hillary Clinton, and we had already seen some bleeding in predominantly Hispanic precincts in Orange County in 2020 that was offset by an increased turnout in the areas around the University of Central Florida, UCF, which is obviously a very Democratic area. But now, even the UCF area, looking at the precincts, they're still blue, but they're a little lighter shade of blue than they were in 2020. And that's because you've got mixed in with the college crowd there a lot of single-family neighborhoods that are attracting what you would consider traditionally exurban type families. The type of people moving into Pasco County, the type of people moving into Volusia and Flagler, because UCF is all the way on the eastern edge of Orange County. So if you can't afford to live in Orlando proper or live in Winter Park or Maitland, you're either going to go east or west of Orlando. A lot of people are going to Clermont in Lake County, or you're going to go south to Point Siena or Kissimmee in Osceola County, which we've already mentioned is a problem county, or you are going to get property and build all the way east in kind of a cheaper area around the University of Central Florida. So that area might change in spite of the enthusiasm of college students for the Democrats and college professors. You might see a lot of that offset. So where can the Democrats compete in the future? The college towns and around colleges, even though we're talking about now a mixed population around UCF. I have to look at the precinct map of Hillsborough County. I haven't looked at one yet, but I think the areas around USF are kind of similar, and they were just ravaged by Hurricane Milton last month. So those communities, who knows what the turnout was like anyway. And then the kind of core city areas of Orange County, Seminole County, city of St. Petersburg, the parts of Broward County that held. In fact, we're going to do something in Broward County next week to talk about where this bleed was in Broward County. Because, look, Broward County, I think, is well known nationally as this very Democratic county. And when people say, well, Florida is gone, there are people who will just respond and say, oh, well, but that's okay. The Democrats still have Broward County. Well, not really anymore. The bleed is pretty fascinating there. So we'll get more into that next week. I thought we were going to return to our history and nature videos and some of the stuff we do in between election cycles next week. But I think we're going to have to put that off for another week because there's so much unpacking to do after this election debacle for the Democrats. Have a great weekend, everybody.